Mike. Guess what day it is?
Thursday.
It's Thursday. It's time for us to record the weekend warm up, and so let's get to that, shall we?
Let's do it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dynasty Pros Weekend Warm-Up with your hosts, me, Brendan Booth at BigBoneDed FFB, and my partner, as every week, Mike Greinberg at FF Canuck 99. I'm feeling a little extra frisky this week. I got some recommendations that are going to make you go, what? WTF? But hey, it's all backed up by analysis and good process. And if you're not willing to take chances, what are we even doing here, Mike? What are we doing?
I don't know. We're just having some fun, right? That's what we're here for, right? Let's do it. So we talk. Let's.
Everybody, remember to like, comment, share, and hit the bell. It's time for a segment I like to call BigBoneDed's Whiskey Minute. Today, in my monogram glass, I'm drinking the Representative. It's a barrel-proof straight bourbon whiskey bottled this last spring. Now, here's the thing. When I saw this at Trader Joe's, and I was like, ooh, I'll be down to try a new whiskey. And I looked it up real quick on my phone, and it turns out that it has like super high ratings, like 5 stars out of 5 and 4.9 stars. And it won World Whiskies Award, World's Best Bourbon somehow. I mean, that's a good marketing ploy. And then I looked at the source and it says Indiana, which means it's made by MGP, which is essentially venture capital companies going in and starting a whiskey label, sourcing all their juice from MGP in Indiana, and then making their own little master blend or whatever before they can get other stuff into barrels. And that was BigBoneDed's Whiskey Minute. So, Mike, are you prepared to give us some news and injury news and news?
I am going to talk about Dynasty Pros because that's what we're here for, but also talking about another dynasty. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers are headed to their 4th straight Grey Cup appearance. Can't wait for Sunday where my boys will bring home their 3rd Grey Cup in 4 years, solidifying their dynasty, and that is a CFL moment for those of you who don't know who the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are.
I know who the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are because I'm a fan of the California Golden Bears football team, and they used to have a wide receiver, and his name was Kenny Lawler, and he was a super long red zone target that caught tons of touchdowns and got drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, and I was like, that guy is going to be a Hall of Famer in the NFL, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer in the CFL.
He very well could be, man. The guy's on fire, and that team is looking good. Their running back was actually nominated for Most Outstanding Player. The guy broke many records this year. He's actually a Winnipeg-born player that is playing for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, went to high school here, Brady Oliveira. Monster season, but he unfortunately got ousted by Chad Kelly for most outstanding player. He threw 6 interceptions last week. And still got it. And he's not playing in the Grey Cup. So unfortunate turn of events for my homeboy, Brady Oliveira. But you know what? They're going to win the Grey Cup, and that's all that matters.
I mean, you can't really compete with Chad Kelly. So,
well,
I
guess not. Well, you can.
Yeah. Well, that was pretty cool news. And you're all decked out in your blue and yellow. And randomly, my girlfriend got me this shirt from the place that she works. And I don't know if you can see. Where'd it go? Okay. It's that's the state of Alaska right there. That's the Arctic Circle location where she works. And I'm going the wrong direction. And it's Blue Bombers colors randomly. So Let's go Bombers.
Okay, it's fate, and unfortunately, Deshaun Watson will undergo season-ending surgery on his shoulder. Another tough break for a Browns team that has been playing really good football this year. First, it was Chubb, now Watson. Where do they go from here? Sounds like the Browns will start Dorian Thompson-Robinson over PJ Walker this week. Interesting call, seeing how PJ filled in okay when Watson missed this year already. What are your thoughts on the situation?
I don't know about that one. So I have Deshaun Watson in a best ball tournament charity event thing, and so that was kind of a bummer coming into this week. And then in my all quarterback league, I immediately went and picked up PJ Walker, took a nap, and woke up, and Dorian Thompson Robinson had been picked up by somebody else and had been named the starter, and I was like, ah! Now I have 4 quarterbacks and Marcus Mariota. So hopefully nothing happens to Jalen Hurts this week, and I just get 0 points in that spot. But that was my best option. I don't have a lot of hope for Dorian Thompson Robinson at this point. I wouldn't be starting him anywhere. If I have him in Dynasty, he's probably on a taxi squad, and I'm just sitting around waiting just to see if something happens. Worst case scenario is it takes Deshaun Watson a while to come back next year, and your DTR or PJ shares are going to get some starts, but I don't know how fantasy viable they are. So terrible, terrible news amongst the other terrible, terrible news that won't stop happening even live while we're watching Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, some good news, though. How about that CJ Stroud? Man, this rookie is now in the MVP conversation. How could you not be rooting for this kid? What an incredible story.
If you're a Colts fan or Jacksonville, you might not. I love CJ Stroud. I liked him better than any of the other quarterbacks coming out in the rookie drafts, and I tend to fade quarterbacks in like redrafts and dynasty startups and stuff. So in my super flex dynasty startups, I was taking a lot of Stroud and Ritter and Sam Howell because I loved their values, and two out of three of those worked out for me. So peace, Desmond Ritter.
All right. So what about CeeDee Lamb breaking an NFL record, being the first player to have 3 straight games with 10 catches and 150 yards? Incredible stuff, especially when you consider that coming from a Schottenheimer, Mike McCarthy offense. Crazy.
Yeah, and following on the tail end of me trading him away for Josh Jacobs in a league that I'm getting into the playoffs with because I had other wide receivers. So don't at me, bro. CD is going to be coming up later. Spoiler alert. But yeah, crazy production, especially when Dak Prescott is trying to throw the ball to the other team. CD's doing a good job of not letting that happen.
He's making some great catches for sure. Now, some good stuff. Justin Jefferson, Justin Fields, Devon Chan, all returning to lineups this weekend. It looks up. Wheels up, baby. Let's go.
I don't know about Jefferson. I heard that he was still limited and not necessarily going to play, but it looks like Chan is going to play, and Fields definitely will. So
I think Jefferson plays this week. I think they need to. They're still in the race there. They're 2 games up. They have a bye coming up too, so maybe they are going to play it safe. We'll see. But he says he's ready to go, so I'm hoping he plays.
I hope so.
Yeah. So we got 4 buys this week. Oh wait, no buys, right? No, there aren't any buys. 4 buys. Wait. There are 4 buys. It's not like any of us matter anyway. We have the Falcons, the Colts, the Patriots, the Saints. All of these are literally unplayable options for the most part in this group. When we compare it to last week when we had some of the more high-flying offenses on buys, this week is the opposite. Make it make sense, NFL. Make it
I
make
don't
sense.
know if I appreciate your Gardner Minshew, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, Derek Carr, Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, Rashid Shaheed, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Jonnu Smith, Bijan Robinson, and Ramon. Okay, there's no Patriots. Shade. I don't know if I appreciate your shade, Mike.
Well, that's okay. I thought it was tip-top analysis.
Okay.
Let's go.
No buys.
All right, so we have some new injuries. We have Keenan Allen with his shoulder injury. He did a stint in the locker room. He probably got a shot and then was able to finish the game. He didn't practice yesterday, but he did return to practice today. Looks like he'll be a go. He'll need to play this week. They're playing the Packers. Probably a winnable game, but somehow I'm sure the Chargers will find a way to lose that one.
I hope so. And are you loving the Quentin Johnston as an assassin memes as much as I am? Because they are funny.
Yeah.
All that Quentin Johnston needed was to wait out 3 IR stints, and he's sitting behind 2 out of those 3. And Keenan is hurt. Keenan, former California Golden Bear. Yeah, so I always root for him, despite the fact that he's been a adult his entire career. I've loved him since he was a freshman at Cal, and I hope he's not hurt. But also, I hope that doesn't hurt the Raiders either.
Yeah, I think Keenan plays. I mean, he did come back to practice today. He's a veteran. He'll play through the pain, I think. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Alexander Madison, concussion. He shouldn't play this week, I don't think. He was removed from Sunday's game versus the Saints with a concussion. Only 20% of players have been able to return and clear concussion protocol after 1 week. So Madison is likely inactive next week. So spoiler alert, we have maybe somebody worth playing in that position this week.
I don't know if there have been anybody in this weekend warm-up here that has been touting the backup that will take over for Madison almost every week, but wheels up, baby.
Let's go. All right, Taylor Heineke with a hamstring. Usually QBs miss about 2 to 3 weeks with this type of injury, so it looks like back to Desmond Ridder. Maybe he might have learned something in his absence. We'll see. I don't know. Hopefully that makes a difference. Maybe he saw some stuff that he wasn't doing properly. Maybe he could throw the ball more, but I doubt it.
Yeah, maybe he learned target Van Jefferson 15 times.
Let's go. All right. Baker Mayfield with a thumb injury. It looks like he's going to play. The swelling looked like it's gone down. He's practiced to start the week, so I'm not worried about him playing this week at all.
He better, because I need Mike Evans.
Yeah, well, I think Mike Evans will be pretty consistent regardless of who's at quarterback. But yeah, Baker.
I mean, we're talking about Kyle Trask.
I know we are calling about Kyle Trask, but like, it's Mike Evans. It doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball, as history says.
It's a bold flag plant.
All right. Well, Mike Thomas, the other Mike, he's got a knee injury. Hearing it's an MCL, could miss up to 4 weeks. Doesn't matter. The Saints are on bye. We'll talk about Garrett Wilson now. New York Jets, right elbow injury. He hasn't practiced to start the week yet, so it's really something we're going to have to keep an eye on. He's been playing really well as of late, so that would be a really bad thing for fantasy teams moving forward if he's out this week.
Yeah, he has been one of the only targets for Zach Wilson, so hopefully he can stick it out.
Yeah. So some older injury news that we got to report on is Matthew Stafford did report, return to practice today in full, so he should be good to go. Great news for that whole offense in general. They could also be getting really close to getting Kyren Williams back, so we'll look on that next week as well. So good stuff happening for the Rams, hopefully for fantasy teams as well that have been relying on those Rams players to make it this year so far.
And don't forget that Kyren Williams is a second-year running back who seems to have a clear path to the RB1 spot with the Rams. So if you can try and swing a trade, if you're a contending team and you can try and swing a trade to pull Kyren Williams, since he's on the IR, away from somebody who's like towards the bottom, send a second or a third round draft pick for him. If you can do that, get Kyren Williams into your RB room.
Wheels up on that. Treylon Burks, concussion. He hasn't practiced yet. He hasn't been on the field, so he's not expected to play. So that's a little bit of a worry concern. Same with KJ Osborne, same situation. So I'm not expecting either of those guys to go this week either. So not good. These concussions are creeping up for these wide receivers, and it's not a good situation.
Treylon is my dude. Woo, pig, suey, Razorbacks. But he's got to get out of Tennessee. And I don't think he's startable until he does. Even if he wasn't hurt.
Do like people live in your house and can hear you scream that loud, or is that just like a normal thing?
I got a dog right there. My girlfriend's home. She's downstairs, but she's downstairs.
Gotcha.
So, I'm an upstairs kind of person. Hey, Downton Abbey shout out.
Damian Pierce and Nico Collins. Well, Collins practiced today, so it looks like he'll play, but no practice yesterday or today for Damian Pierce. So it looks like another good game set up for Singletary. Spoiler alert.
I am a heavy investor in both and very sad about the Damian Pierce situation. I had higher hopes for him this year.
Yeah, me too.
Not really doing it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. Take us on.
What should we do now, Mike?
Well, looks like there's Studleys on our jumbotron.
Oh, Studleys. Here. Okay. As far as the Studleys and Dudleys go, I don't really know what to do this week. I feel like everybody that I mentioned last week in both segments was fantasy viable. My starts were all at least flex consideration, and JSN did the worst. But he and Dubs didn't kill you if you started them, especially in like 3 wide receiver and deep flex leagues. And James Cook, despite his fumble to start the game and his benching, he had an RB2 finish. And then meanwhile, with my sits, none of them were world beaters. Like I didn't sit anybody with a top 10 finish or whatever, but they didn't do bad either. In fact, all of my guys were pretty much interchangeable. Gus Edwards was my most accurate sit, but if you sat him and you flexed JSN, you pretty much broke even. So you really couldn't have gone wrong with any of my calls last week, I guess. What even is anything? Anyway, what is life? I got nothing. I got nothing.
At least mine are a little bit more cut and dry. So Grindberg, Studley calls of the week, Mike Evans, Studley call. Oh yeah, Mike Evans is finally breaking out after 10 years in the league. Wait, 10 years? Breaking out. Yeah.
Okay, wait, real quickly before you go on, I do want to say, okay, now I do have an actual Dudley, so go ahead and finish.
Well, Mike Evans went 6 for 143 and a touchdown, so he was a monster finish. A couple honorable mentions for me. I told everybody to sit Alexander Madison, although he did get injured and he wasn't doing well anyhow. He finished the day with 8 carries for 27 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. And then also I told you to sit George Pickens, who went 3 for 45, which still was the best receiver in that game for the Steelers, but wasn't a great call there. But my Dudley call was I told you to sit Amari Cooper, who I thought would be in tough against the Ravens. He did have a nice game against that tough Ravens defense. He went 6 for 98, and he was the featured in the Browns post-game celebration, probably rubbing it in my face. Well done, Coop.
Of course, that's what he wanted to do, was he wanted to rub it in Grindberg's face.
Yeah.
And what about Deontay Johnson? If George Pickens isn't going to go off, you want more than 4 points out of Deontay Johnson. What the heck was that? Kenny Pickett. All right. So I actually do have a Dudley call. And hey, Mike, ask me if I know who my Dudley call is.
Hey, Brendan, do you know what your Dudley call is?
Of course I know him. He's me. Um, so my Dudley call is myself for whatever reason, congratulating Mike Evans on his 10th year in a row at 1,000 yards when he's like, I don't know where I got that from. I must have misheard. Like, to be fair, when I watch Sunday football, I have 4 screens on the Sunday ticket, and then I've got my laptop on with another game, and then my phone with another game, and I'm trying to keep track of everything. I get Red Zone on there so that I can listen to that and listen to like each of the anyway. Somehow I misinterpreted them talking about Mike Evans, and I thought that they had said that he had crossed the 1,000-yard threshold again, which obviously he did not. So yeah, my Dudley this week is me. And let's move on to the starts real quick, shall we? Because I don't want to focus on that anymore. So, all right, this is when it starts getting really interesting. My first start is going to be Romeo Doubs. Last week I had Dobbs, and Jaden Reed outscored him. This week, the Packers have an even better matchup in the Los Angeles Chargers, and I'm going with Dubs again. The Chargers allow the most receiving yards per game versus the average, and they average over 11 PPR points to wide receivers, which makes them the second best matchups for wide receiver in fantasy. Now, Reed is the 12th in the NFL in slot snaps, and the Chargers are better against slot receivers than they are against outside receivers. Last week, the Packers faced Pittsburgh, who allow the 4th most points to the slot. So that could explain the difference in points between the two of them. The target share between them should be about even again. And where I can, I'm starting both. But I feel like Romeo, wherefore art thou? Romeo. Dobbs has the edge this week.
I like that game too. For the like, I think it's going to be a good game for both sides of the ball there, and I think Dobbs will do well. So, my first start of the week is Ty Chandler versus the Denver Broncos. When Madison went down in week 10 with a concussion, Chandler came in and did a decent job versus one of the better run defenses in the league in the New Orleans Saints. Chandler ran 15 times for 45 yards and managed to find the end zone. I expect Madison to miss this week, so Chandler will be 1 week rental and do well with his opportunities when he goes up against the 32nd ranked defense versus the run in the Denver Broncos. The Broncos give up an average of 158 yards per game. Even though Chandler won't be efficient with his carries, he should see the volume and some red zone looks. I expect Chandler to finish as a RB2 flex play this week.
Hey, Mike. Hey, you remember last week when I told everybody to go pick up Ty Chandler on their waivers? You remember that?
I did. Oh yeah.
That was
Oh yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and you know what I did? And now I'm telling everybody to start him because I took your advice. So, I'm piggybacking off of your great call, and hopefully this will turn out for both of us.
Well, I've been touting him. I've been touting him from the beginning, and I think it was I think it was our first weekend warm-up video that we submitted, and our Dynasty Pros editor got on top of me for saying Tyson Chandler instead of Ty Chandler, and I just assumed that his name was Tyson, and I had to look it up, and no, his name is just Ty, which almost was my child's name. Instead, he got William for Will Clark instead of Ty Cobb. But anyway, yeah, I got hey, what do you have any like feedback or criticism on our first video? And he was like, yeah, know the players' names. It's not Tyson Chandler, it's Ty. So guess what I haven't forgotten ever? Ty Chandler. All right. my next start.
Love you, Nick.
I swear to God, I'm not just recycling. I had Dobbs last week. I also had James Cook. I'm taking James Cook as a start again. I'm not recycling. I was just a week early. Even after being benched for a while at the beginning of the game after that ungodly fumble, but he redeemed himself when he fumbled and recovered his own bounce later in the game. Cook had the second best finish in the last 7 weeks for himself. This week, his matchup is just as juicy. But with the firing of Buffalo's offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, there's a new sheriff in town in Buffalo. The Jets defense just gave Josh Jacobs his best game of the year. And while Jacobs is bigger, both he and Cook thrive on zone runs, which the Jets are susceptible to. Jacobs is a very underrated receiving back, and James Cook is a highly rated receiving back. The Jets are a terrible matchup for wide receivers this week. They'll be covered in that sauce. But if the Bills can establish the run, Cook will cook.
Yeah, we're just waiting for that just to happen. He just needs that one game, and I think they just need to put it all together, and I think the Bills will be okay. But they got a tough schedule ahead, and they're going to need to rely on that run game, and hopefully Cook can be that guy.
He's still a top 24 running back, so
Yeah, exactly.
he's living up to his ADP.
Yeah. So my next start is Trey McBride versus the Texans. McBride has become a weekly must start the past 3 weeks, averaging 9.2 targets per game. He was Kyler Murray's number one target in his return. Now the Cardinals get the red-hot Houston Texans and rookie MVP candidate CJ Stroud. The Cardinals will need to sling the ball in order to keep up with the Texans. Look for McBride to continue his dominance in the tight end landscape. In the past 3 weeks, he is the tight end number one overall. So look for another top 5 finish at tight end for McBride in this one. Wheels up for him.
You smell that, Mike? You smell it?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't smell it. Shootout!
Yeah.
Shootout.
I hope
All
so.
All right. Now, I segued at the beginning of this program to the idea that I'm going to be bringing you guys some moments that make you go, this is right. This is one of them right now. I told you I'm not right in the head. Yes, last week's evisceration of the Giants by the Cowboys, which has become standard across the league, was an opportunity for the Cowboys to rest Tony Pollard and give Rico Dowdle some run. But Dowdle did more with less than Tony Pollard did, and we've seen that before. Jaylen Warren, anyone? Well, this week, I think we see it again. Carolina is not good against the run. Pollard will be good for 15-plus carries and controlling the clock, and Dowdle will too. When given touches, Rico shows off his efficiency at over 4.5 yards per carry, which is almost a full yard better than Pollard. He'll get a tutty to throw on top of his 50 yards and sit firmly in the RB2 space. That's right, I said it, Rico Dowdle. And that is your BigBoneDed, Big Ball Call of the Week.
Whoa, man, that is pretty impressive stuff. That's 2 weeks in a row. The man has it down. It helps when the teleprompter is plus 150%. That
I
also
didn't get
helps.
the teleprompter on there in time.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Rico Dowdle was a guy that I was always high on. Even last year before he got injured there in preseason, he actually was ahead of Malik Davis on the depth chart. That was in 2022. Had the injury, worked past him in training camp this year, and now I just think he needs the opportunity to emerge, and I like that call.
He's the same age as Josh Jacobs, but with less mileage.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, Dallas needs somebody that could just take those runs up the middle and take the bruising that Pollard, can't do. And he might be more effective that way, Pollard, like he was last year with less, less touches. 200 touches for Pollard is probably a sweet zone. He can't run him more than that.
And we watched Pollard be efficient when he got his chances, whereas Zeke wasn't efficient. And kind of sat there for a couple of years and went, why isn't Pollard starting? And I think now we know the reason why. It's because when he gets those opportunities that Zeke got, he's not very good. But when he gets the opportunities like he had before, the Pollard opportunities, He's a stud. So, hey, Mike McCarthy, heads up, throw Rico Dowdle in there in the Zeke role instead of making Pollard the bell cow. Maybe that's your solution.
Yeah. All right. So my last start of the week is Devin Singletary versus the Cardinals. As you can tell, I really like this matchup this week, being the highest projected point total on the week. The other side of the ball, I am liking Devin Singletary to build off his big game of his career when he rushed for 30 times for 150 yards and 1 touchdown, adding 1 reception for 11 yards. Look for the Texans to lean on Singletary in the second half while they are playing in a close game with a nice lead. The Cardinals are giving up an average of 134 yards per game on the ground. I'm looking for Singletary to have another strong game on the ground and probably finding pay dirt as the Texans cruise to their 3rd straight win.
Shootout. I really
Shootout.
like the congruity of me taking James Cook and you taking Devin Singletary, the guy that Cook replaced. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
All right.
All right. That was 3 for each. I think we're on to the sits now. Am I correct?
We are.
I am correct. All right. My first sit of the week. Philly is the worst running back matchup of the week. Isaiah Pacheco's role in the Chiefs' offense is to keep the defense honest in the first place because Patty can't throw to Mr. Taylor Swift every play. Combine the superfluousness of that role with his inability to succeed against Philly, and it's wait to cash that paycheck because El Banco is out of dinero. Sit Isaiah Pacheco this week.
Yeah.
That's Spanish.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, Philly's got the best run defense in the league, giving up only 63 yards per game on average. If they're going to be effective at all, they're going to need to use that screen game, and I think that maybe Jerick McKinnon might be more of a factor in this one than Pacheco would ever be. But yeah, that's a
You
good call
came
on
with
your behalf.
stats. You have
Yeah, man.
stats at the ready, bro.
It's all up here, man. I know my Chiefs. Okay, I have to know my Chiefs.
That's true. High
Yeah,
point for the win.
high point for the win. All right, so my first sit this week is Adam Thielen versus the Cowboys. Thielen is currently the wide receiver 10 in full PPR in weeks 2 through 6. Up until their bye in week 7, Thielen was unstoppable. Since their bye, Thielen has cooled off considerably. Bryce Young has not looked good at all and will clearly need the offseason to reflect and adjust. Now they get one more formidable defense in the league, and it's the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys rank 2nd in the league against the pass, only giving up an average of 166 passing yards per game. The Cowboys have 26 sacks, with Micah Parsons leading the way with 7.5. It will be a long day for Bryce Young, which means Thielen will continue his downslide.
Yeah, I don't know if Bryce Young is the problem in Carolina. Maybe Bryce Young's problem is
Frank Reich? Yeah. No, I agree
And
with
Micah.
that.
Look at Micah go. 7.5 sacks. That's almost as many as Mad Max Crosby.
Wow, Mad Max is next level stuff. Yeah,
Mad Max Crosby. Dr. Depoy. All right, so my next sit. I know so many of you are going to hate me for this. I hate me for this. Jaylen Warren. As Warren owners, we've been waiting so long for Warren to be named the starter. And we're so excited that it happened that we think we've got 2 tickets to paradise. Well, we don't. The Browns defense is a tough matchup. I mean, they're the Browns. We talk about it every week. The Steelers have a split backfield situation. It won't be easy for either Najee Harris or Jaylen Warren. So wait to cash that paycheck because Al Banco is out of dinero. So You don't have 2 tickets to paradise. Sit Jalen Warren.
Yeah, that game is gonna be ugly now that Deshaun Watson call came in. Like, I don't know what to expect. It's gonna be nasty. Just
You want to think that it's another shootout, but Kenny Pickett is not Lamar Jackson, so I don't see 70 points happening.
well, I'm hoping to see a lot of Jerome Ford in that one. I think he's gonna get 30 carries. It could happen.
I hope so.
Maybe not quite 30, but I mean, it's not
35.
out of the realm. Yeah, awesome.
40 carries.
All right, so my next sit is coming off a heater, so it might be a little controversial here. So it's Rachaad White versus the 49ers. Rachaad White has come to life in the last 4 games, averaging 20 PPR points per game during that span. White has not been a good runner between the tackles and has needed to get into space in the passing game to be successful. Unfortunately, White is playing the 49ers this week, fresh off a dominating win versus the Jaguars, where they held them to just 3 points. In addition to this, the 49ers held Travis Etienne to another runner that struggles between the tackles to just 35 yards on the ground. The 49ers are the 4th ranked team versus the run, only giving up an average of 84 yards per game. Look for another down game for White before he heads into the juiciest part of his schedule.
Hey, Mike, I want to commend you on your pronunciation of Etienne, because it's not ETN, it's Etienne. And he and his brother, Trevor, what is it, Trevor? Both of them will tell you that. Yeah. Yeah, Debbie, baby. Yeah, I love Rachaad White, but I want to say that he is very similar to Josh Jacobs, and obviously that's my point of reference, in that Josh Jacobs early in the season kept getting power run calls, and he's much better in zone run. And I think Rachaad White is very similar to that. He's good at cutting. He's good in the open field. He's good when you give him space. But as a power guy, I don't think he can do that, especially when you have an offensive line like the Buccaneers, who are not geared for a power run game. So, yeah, get him out into space, get him the ball. But 49ers defense is going to lock him down. So, not big on White this week. I have him starting where I have to.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now is the part of the program where
gets juicy, folks.
Everybody gets to go.
Juicy, folks.
And I said before, it's a spoiler alert, so I know I've lost you guys when I say this. My next and last sit is CeeDee Lamb. I hear me out. Hear me out. Let's take a trip back through the tendrils of time when I said Carolina is bad, but is good against the pass. You remember that? That was awesome. Just like Isaiah Pacheco, CeeDee Lamb this week is unnecessary, and the matchup isn't great. CeeDee's had dud weeks before. I know that he's coming off 4 historic weeks, but he's had dud weeks before, and I think this will be one of them. I can't just say bench the wide receiver 5 in fantasy and leave it at that. So I'll give you guys some alternatives. If you have to play CeeDee Lamb, I get it. But if you can go with DeAndre Hopkins, Amari Cooper, Hollywood Brown, Cooper Kupp, and or Puka Nacua, and this is something interesting I figured out earlier. You have C Cup and A Cup, because if you spell Puka backwards, it's A Cup. So C Cup and A Cup. If you can play Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Brandon Ayuk, even Zay Flower, well, that's already done. But I had that in there. If you have those guys, those alternatives, I suspect that they will have better days than CeeDee Lamb. Shit, do me a favor. If you're too skittish to bench CeeDee Lamb, which again, I understand. I get it. Slide him down into your last flex spot. Fill out the rest of your lineup above him and let me know what happened. Comment. Go to this video on Sunday night and comment in this video, or next week comment on our weekend warm up, or tag me on Twitter at BigBoneDed and tell me how like I nailed it. Oh my god, you nailed it, or you're an idiot. Either way, I want to know because like let's call this a thought experiment. Put CeeDee Lamb at the bottom of your flex and put those other guys in there above him, and I think that they're going to outscore him. But again, if you have to go with CeeDee, I totally understand because he's one of those undroppables, invaluable resources for your fantasy team. I get it, but watch out. And when he has a down game, BigBoneDed told you so.
And that is biggest BoneDed, biggest balls, big ball call of the week. No. That's bold, my friend. And
what are we doing here? If we're not taking chances, what are we doing here?
What are we doing? Exactly. So good luck with that one. I think that the Cowboys are playing lights out right now. I think they have a juicy schedule headed into the playoffs. This week is no different. I mean, you've obviously looked into that one, so I'm going to trust your opinion on that. But after this, they've got to really do. They got the Seahawks. They have the Commanders. They got the Lions. I could see Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb finishing really, really strong this year. So I have Dak finishing as a top 5 quarterback like here on out with that schedule. So that's pretty bold. So I think this game has something to do with it, but maybe I'm wrong now that you've lightened me up on some of those stats there. So we'll see what happens. We'll like it. It's juicy, man. All right. So my last sit, and it's not a shocker, so maybe it's not super bold. It's definitely not as bold as the last one, is sitting any Bears running back versus the Lions. I'm sitting them, whether it's Khalil Herbert, Deonta Foreman, or Roschon Johnson. The fact that they all might rotate through. Additionally, they are playing the red-hot Lions, who will certainly be up big and early, literally abandoning the need for the run. Even if this game was close, Detroit's run defense is very good, only giving up an average of 79 yards per game on the ground, which ranks 3rd in the league. We should avoid this backfield at all costs this week. If you are desperate and you have somebody that you might need to play, it would maybe be Roschon Johnson because of the upside in the passing game and the 3rd down role, but I can't see that being effective in this one because I think just the Lions are going to be up too much.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to have Justin Fields back, and he's going to be trying to get the ball. Playing with a negative game script, he's going to be trying to get the ball to Komet and DJ Moore. And so you're right. Roschon might be 3rd down back to have in that lineup. But other than that, like I'm sitting Roschon where I have to.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get on to some streamers. And my streaming defense this week is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. They get the Tennessee Titans this week. I feel like the bloom is off of Levis's rose, and the Jags will control the Tennessee run game, forcing Levis to pass. I see a combination of D-Hop going off and turnovers going to Jacksonville. If they get a pick 6 out of this, it won't surprise me. Fumble recovery, some sacks on Levis. I see all of those happening. So a lot of the times with defense special teams, what we're looking for is the floor of this team is going to hold the other team to fewer points. I think Tennessee can score basically based on the fact that they have D-Hop, and Levis has shown he can sling it. I don't think that's where the Jacksonville points are going to come from. I think it's going to come off of turnovers. So that's why I would be streaming Jacksonville this week.
Yeah, that's a good call. Those rookie quarterbacks are vulnerable. And unlike, any other, I'm going to go with my sit of the week here, or my streamer of the week is the Dolphins versus the Raiders. Same idea against a rookie quarterback with the tape out on that young rook, Aiden O'Connor, and the Dolphins coming off of the bye. I bet Nick Fangio has got something cooking to embarrass the young rookie. So I'm going to ease my expectations, and I think Miami is going to come back strong. I think that, Chubb is going to have a lot of pressure on the edge, and it's going to make him make some decisions, Aiden O'Connell, that he's not going to want to have to do and force some turnovers. And I think there's going to be some sacks in that game. So I'm sorry to say, but the Raiders are in tough this week. And I think it's going to start with this one.
Yeah, there's been a lot of celebration in Raider Nation in the last couple weeks, and it ends this week. I I don't think O'Connell's going to play bad. I think he does a really good job of taking care of the ball, and he's not going to be the problem. I don't think. I just think that offensive line is not ready for Miami, and that's going to be bad. Colton Miller is going to be back. So that should be like something good on the Raiders side of things. And they handled themselves pretty well against the Jets, and the Jets have a really good defense. So that was a grinded out game last Sunday night. Like 3-3, 6-3, 9-3, like 9-6, 9-9. Come on. And this week, the Raiders scoring might play out the same 3-6, 9-16, but the Dolphins are going to run it up. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll be a fun game for me to watch anyway. I might break my computer at some point, smash the TV in. We'll see what happens. I'll let you know next week.
You'll be fine. I'm sure you'll be fine. It won't be that bad. All right. Who's your first tight end streamer there? What is it? Who is it?
So I only have one, and that is going to be Daniel Bellinger. That's French. Daniel Bellinger. I mean, I said last week that enough tight ends that are rosterable have been good enough to stick in your roster if you're a traditional tight end streamer. But if you're still desperate, Bellinger might be able to put up 12 points this week. The Commanders are the second best receiving matchup this week, and they're middle of the road versus the tight end position in fantasy. The problem is really the Giants' passing game and Tommy DeVito. Now, keep in mind, this is a total shot in the dark, and let's just hope we're safe. Survivor reference, yeah. And this is a good time to point out that what we missed at the beginning. Mark Andrews, high ankle sprain, he is out for the game tonight. Doesn't look like he's going to have a good go of things for the next couple of weeks. So hit up Isaiah Likely on your waiver wire, and who knows, maybe next week Isaiah Likely might be a streamer pick.
Yeah. I mean, and then Joe Burrow going down too. Another tough one there. It looks like that might be a multiple week absence, if not, season ending. So we'll see what happens there. So not good.
And let me do that line read one more time, because I don't think it had the effect in my brain. Maybe everybody else got, but Daniel Bellinger, this is a shot in the dark, and let's just hope we are safe. Okay.
Perfect. Love it. You're not safe.
What a blindside. That was beautiful.
I love it. If you're Survivor gurus, this year started off really bad, but now it's coming up. So it's good to see. All right. So my tight end streamer this week, and with not much out there, this is kind of a dart throw. So I'm going to go with Luke Musgrave. I'm streaming him in a game where the Packers could be forced to throw the ball a ton. Look for Musgrave to be involved quite a bit in this game. And I'm also hoping he can find pay dirt. So, they're playing the Chargers. So there could be the need to throw. So we'll see what happens. So that's my dart throw of the week with streaming tight ends, Luke Musgrave.
Yeah. And we have the primary Green Bay pass catchers in our starts and streams. One thing that I've noticed about Musgrave is that he is the ultimate tight end floor. So wherever he's at, you don't want to be score. You don't want your tight end to be scoring less than Musgrave. He's not going to go out and score you 20, 25 points in a game like a Kelsey or a TJ Hawkinson or whatever. He's going to sit there right around 9 to 13 points and just give you that floor. So I love me some Musgrave.
And hopefully he can spike this week and get a touchdown, and then that puts him up to like the 17-point range, and that'll be his best game of the year, and maybe that could be this week.
Yeah, and he'll be in Studley's next week.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, man. Well, that's it for us again. Thanks to everyone for joining the weekend warm-up. Man, can you believe this is already what week is this, Brandon? What week is this? This is
week 11.
We're right
11. We're right on the cusp of Thanksgiving. And next week, we will be coming to you with more of a thin show. There's Thanksgiving games. There's a Black Friday game. So we're going to have to take that into consideration when we're doing this. We normally record these at 6:15 Pacific time on Thursdays, which is going to be right in the heart of my Thanksgiving festivities, which Mike didn't even consider because Canadians do Thanksgiving on a different day than we do, so he already had his, and so we're talking about it. We're seeing what's in the works. We'll get back to you. We might do it on Wednesday night and do all of the starts and sits, or we might do it on Thursday night and just do like a very thin show for the Sunday games. We'll see what happens. But again, stay with us. Check out the Dynasty Pros YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter and all that stuff, and we'll give you the Thanksgiving rundown, Thanksgiving warm up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been a great week. Thanks everybody for joining us. Brennan, do you want to tell everybody where they could find you?
I sure do, Mike. I'm on Twitter at BigBoneDed. It's right there, right there. YouTube at BigBoneDed. Check out my podcast, The Fantasy Burn. Hey, join me on Monday for the Monday Meltdown live stream with special guests, the week in review, and shenanigans. Everybody loves shenanigans. I'm on Substack at, you guessed it, BigBonedFFB. And of course, Dynasty Pros, football.com /author /BigBoneDed. And that's good coverage for all of my content.
Yeah, and you can find me at Twitter at FFCanuck99 and all my written content at dynastypros.com. I'm also the Chiefs creator for High Point Creator Network, and you can find my stuff there. And one more thing, I've now joined Brandon and the news desk with Player Profile, covering the Chiefs and Broncos in the AFC West with you, buddy. So thanks for that opportunity, and looking forward to rolling with it.
That was pretty funny. So on the other day that happened, another day, I think it was last night, I got my second appearance on a Player Profiler vid podcast, whatever. And so like things are looking up in that realm of my sphere. But we were looking for news desk people. I threw Mike's name out there. My editor picked Mike up. And then we're having the intro meeting, which I was randomly invited to, got in, didn't know Mike was going to be there. All of a sudden, there's Mike. Mike didn't know I was going to be there either. I'm trying to help him and the other new guy. And then they're trying to figure out what division to do. And I have the AFC West. So I've been doing the player news for all four teams in that division. And then Mike was wearing his Chiefs hat, so my editor was like, "Hey, how about you take two of the AFC West teams?" So now Mike and I are splitting the AFC West news on PlayerProfiler.com. At the same time, we're doing the weekend warm up on DynastyProsFootball.com, and we're going to maybe cook something up for PlayerProfiler.com. Video content as partners still. So Mike and I are in it together for the long haul, and yeah, so it was a pretty funny week.
Yeah, man. I mean, we got each other's back, so let's go, buddy.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate y'all.
It's the Can-Am connection right here, and that's a wrestling reference for some of you folks. And anyway, that's all for us from DynastyProsFootball.com. Thank you guys for joining in on the weekend warm up. Please, again, comment. Like, let's grow this stuff. Let's, get everybody involved. Let's kick that algorithm into high gear and work this. And so we're trying for efficiency, and we're right at the 56-minute mark. So I have about 3 minutes 45 more seconds to say, okay, so keep watching, keep subscribing, keep hitting that bell, keep liking, keep sharing. I'm kidding. We're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for watching the weekend warm up. I hope you win.
Go
what? Go Bombers.
Go Bombers.
Go Bombers. I mean, I should have said start Kenny Lawler. He's going to have 2 touchdowns and 60 yards receiving on a 110-yard field. I don't know. I can't even watch it. I want to watch. I'm like the one guy in the United States that wants to watch that stupid game, and I can't watch it.
It's not a stupid game. It's a beautiful game, man.
It's beautiful. It's the Grey Cup, man. Don't talk about the Grey Cup like
Le
that.
Coupe Grey.
Right.
Le Coupe.
So French. All right, guys, we're done.